Good evening. Would you please be seated? I would like to call this regular meeting of the Larkspur City Council to order. May we please have the roll call?
Councilmember Way?
Here.
Councilmember Chu?
Here.
Councilmember Morrison?
Here.
And Mayor Hilmer.
Here. Would you please rise if you're able and join us in our Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. The first item on this evening's agenda is public comment. This is the time for members of the public to comment on items that are not on this evening's agenda. Are there any members of the public that would like to ask questions or make comments on items that are not on this evening's agenda? Yes, sir. If you could please come to the microphone and state your name for the record.
James Holmes, Larkspur. Perhaps you saw the headline in today's Independent Journal. San Rafael is apparently the latest jurisdiction to decide to tighten its rules, and additionally, according to the newspaper, these rules need to be done before January the 14th. That's some sort of a deadline. As each successive jurisdiction decides to enact protective rules, I become a little bit more concerned that Larkspur is going to be the odd person out, and where 5G may start without the kind of oversight that it would receive in the other jurisdictions. Specifically, since all the jurisdictions now surrounding us, except Corte Madera, and I'm not sure where they stand right now, but Mill Valley, San Rafael, and Kentfield in the county will have protective rules, then we will sort of have a little laissez-faire island here that could be a beachhead for 5G. Now, I'm no expert on this. 5G may turn out to be okay, but I think we should be careful and we should keep our regulatory powder dry, and I do know three things. Number one, every jurisdiction apparently which has considered the issue thus far has concluded that additional protective rules are necessary. Number two, we know we can't trust the tech companies to tell the truth about their technology. And number three, we can't depend on government agencies to protect us from health issues or similar issues as the radioactive scandal down in Hunters Point proves. So for all these considerations, I strongly urge the council to follow the course of San Rafael and others, and to agendize this and to propose protective legislation. And as I say, I understand that because so many other towns have already done this, you wouldn't essentially have to reinvent the wheel, but simply adopt the best of what has done elsewhere. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Are there other members of the public that would like to ask questions or make comments on items that are not on this evening's agenda? That being the case, we'll move it forward with the agenda. The next item on the agenda is consideration for approval of the consent calendar. Are there members of the public or council that would like to pull items for further discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
I'll make that motion to approve the consent calendar.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries unanimously. The next item on the agenda this evening is the city manager's oral report.
Hey, Dan, may I interrupt for a moment?
Yes, Ms. Vice Mayor.
Before, Dan, you go on, can we have the people that are out in the back? Come on in. There's room. Come on. Don't be shy. Come make room. And then we also have room be on the wall, too. Sorry, Dan, I just bring them all in.
Or we can open that other door.
Yeah.
Thank you for your thoughtful comment.
Sorry, Dan.
All right, city manager's oral report. Hi, Dan.
Hi, nice to see you, Mr. Mayor and council members. A few items for you. The first is I wanted to just show you a few pictures. I want to thank Public Works Director Julian Skinner for the photos. We keep getting asked by folks, what is this patch paving stuff that you're doing? That's the first round of Measure B work that we've been out in the community doing. So I'm hoping these pictures would give you a quick illustration of what it is. These are a few of the streets that are over in the South Aliso area that have recently had their street given what we're calling a patch paving. And you can see what the damage looked like beforehand. Okay. There we go. Maybe. Why don't you just advance them for me, Jamie? Okay, so these are streets with what they call alligator cracks. And then the next one after this is going to show you the paving that they're doing. So patch paving is a very simple, thin coating of pavement that's being put on top of those cracked streets to have them survive for the next few years with a smoother surface until we can get to them to do the full treatment that they need to get. I think there's one more, isn't there? This gives you a really good sense of how thin this layer of patch paving is. But we didn't want some of these streets to continue to be in their current condition. We wanted these streets that are going to be on the back end of the 5-year plan to get some sort of treatment now. And as we've described for the council before, the exciting thing here is we don't lose that material. That's not wasted money. When we go to do this street and give it its full rehabilitation, the street gets ground down, and so that patch pavement treatment will actually become part of the base of the final road. So people benefit in two ways. They're going to get to enjoy a little bit smoother experience for the next couple of years, and then this material becomes part of the final permanent solution later. That's why we've been out in the streets. That's why the patch paving goes really quickly. Folks who've experienced the more thorough rehabilitations have had our work there much longer, because this is just a quick, put something on top, make it a little nicer for a brief amount of time. But that's what we've been doing. That's what we've been actively doing the last few weeks to beat the rain season. Just wanted to give you a few illustrations of that. We've been busy. So another thing that happened today with our partners over in Kentfield, and is going to happen tomorrow here in Larkspur, is that we've been working in the fire department with a vendor to test what's called a long-range acoustic device. You've probably seen several bulletins and announcements out in the community, and you may have seen the media coverage of Mill Valley testing this device. This is a device that allows a speaker to throw a voice message out into the community, out in the air, and it uses technology that produces sound waves that are heard the same at equal distances from the emanation point, meaning if I'm standing right by the speaker, my eardrums don't get blown out by the speaker, and I hear the message, and if Councilmember Way is 2 miles away, hopefully she's in the right spot, she'll pick up the sound wave and she'll hear the message too. This is one of the technologies that's being considered for us to help notify people in the case of an emerging disaster, particularly if we had to issue a call to evacuate a particular area. Mill Valley had a successful test today. It went very well in Kentfield. And if you hear it tomorrow in Larkspur, because we're going to test it at both the downtown station in the morning and in the Greenberry station in the afternoon, it's just going to say, this is a test, so don't be alarmed, but that's what you're hearing. We want to make sure it works. We want to see how far it throws the sound. But we're exploring this, and I think there's some media coverage, so you may see it on Channel 2 if you haven't already this evening. So those are two main things. Want to remind folks that we are obviously in the rainy season. We know we have a king tide coming right around Christmas. So encourage those neighborhoods who know what happens in the confluence of rain and king tide to start preparing. Our folks are already making our plans to deal with the city infrastructure. And then lastly, a reminder, we have a special meeting of the council next Wednesday, and we won't be meeting on the 19th of this month. Turn it back to you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Dan. Are there questions of the city manager on his report this evening? All right. We'll move forward. We have one public hearing this evening. We'll open that. It's an ordinance item. Oh, I'm sorry. Councilmember oral reports and comments.
I have some things to say.
Vice Mayor Morrison.
Hi.
My
Good
apologies.
Good evening. I sit on the MCCMC Legislation Committee, and that stands for Marin County Council of Mayors and Council Members. We met with our state senator, Mike McGuire, who informed us he's going to work very closely with our governor, our new governor, Gavin Newsom. And they're going to concentrate on three important issues, which would be affordable housing, health issue, and education. But they're really going to put a lot of attention on affordable housing. They're going to actually put $14 billion into having other cities build these buildings, which I think is wonderful, but they're going to really concentrate on the Transmit Hub, which is coming to Larkspur at the end of 2019. So they're looking for big apartments, which we have a full discussion on that. I'm going to recommend that they maybe build affordable housing on top of Bon Air Shopping Center, but the big apartments just don't really fit in our community, so we're on top of that. Homeward Bound of Marin, which serves the homeless population, they are having an open house on December the 13th from 3:30 to 5, and it's on 127 King Street. It is the old St. Paris Convent. They have retrofitted it, and they made it into 11 bedrooms for vulnerable seniors. That's very exciting. Also, on December the 6th, we have a holiday sip, shop, and stroll mixer at the Bon Air Shopping Center, and that's sponsored by the Larkspur Chamber of Commerce, and that's from 5 to 7 on December the 6th. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. Ann, other council member reports and comments? Councilmember Chu.
Yeah, real brief. For the members of the audience, I'm on the Central Marin Police Authority Council. And one of the things we met on a couple days ago is to restart the Explore Post. And this is for youth, both boys and girls, ages 14 to 20. And if they have a vocational interest in becoming law enforcement officers, this is a way to learn how they basically do the job. And there's also a possibility that if they stay in exploring and express an interest, stay with Central Marin Police, they might actually get some subsidy to go through the police academy as well. So just throw that out to friends and neighbors. The current schedule is to meet on the second and fourth Thursdays of the month. And the next meeting is, that makes it the 13th, 5 p.m.
Can I ask Larry something? Larry, are they still doing the adult academy, the community academy?
Yeah, they do, but I don't know when they're scheduling
Okay.
the next one.
Great.
Other council member reports this evening? All right. We'll move on with this evening's agenda to the public hearing. This is an ordinance item, Ordinance 1030, amending Chapter 19.01 of the Larkspur Municipal Code, entitled Social Host Accountability Ordinance, to add controlled substances and marijuana, including party buses and limousines, and add provisions for requiring participation by offenders in a restorative justice program. May we have a staff report, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for allowing us to conduct this public hearing. This hearing and the subsequent action next week will allow Larkspur to put this ordinance into place, should you so choose, before the end of the calendar year, which will mean that all of the jurisdictions throughout Marin that have social host accountability ordinances will have made these general changes to their provisions before the end of the calendar year, which was established as a target. As the title suggests, we already have a social host accountability ordinance in place. It's been a very effective tool for us in educating and deterring certain types of behavior in our community, unfortunate behavior that we've had to deal with around parties that have occurred and sometimes gotten out of hand. And as the title suggests, we want to make changes to add controlled substances and marijuana to the ordinance and to cover areas that hadn't been covered in the past, specifically public premises, party buses, and limousines. Slightly broadens the definition of what the person in charge of the event actually is. And then lastly, one I really like is we've really clarified the restorative justice element, and essentially what that means in plain English is they're going to get sent to a court of their peers if there's a violation and they want to challenge it, if they don't want to pay the fine, which we think is a great solution. And as I've told many folks, if you're a violator, that's a tougher venue than we probably ever would be. So with that, Mr. Mayor, this is a public hearing and no pressure, but flew through our counterparts in the Central Maine Police Authority, so we're going last of the three. So, turn it back to you.
Thank you for the staff report. Are there questions from council members on the city manager?
I had one,
Councilmember
Dan.
Way.
When we've changed the wording for person responsible for the event, so it could be a minor or someone under the age of 21 who, let's say, rents the limousine, which does happen. They'll be held accountable even though they're not the adult over the age of 21. Is that what I understand to be?
Yeah, if they've assumed the responsibility, then this ordinance says then they
Applies
should be
then.
held accountable.
And that's different from the last time, and in reference to sort of the party bus scenes that go on around prom time, et cetera.
Well, the party buses are also new, so we're trying to capture
Yeah.
everything at once. The ordinance was envisioned and thought of more for the house party. And so its original target was the homeowner of the house where it took
Yeah.
place.
So that would also apply to, let's say, if a young person rents a Airbnb or something like that, where they make the rental.
That's actually another issue that this is trying to
Yeah.
capture.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. I like those changes, because I think that captures some of the current ways that circumnavigating the ordinances as they exist now. Thanks.
Other council member questions on the staff report? Are there members of the public that would like to ask questions or make comments regarding this agenda item? Seeing none, we're going to close the public hearing, bring it back to the city council for consideration. Further discussion on this item from council members? If not, I'll entertain a motion. This is the first reading. We're
that
waiving
motion.
the first reading.
I'll make the motion to waive the first reading and introduce ordinance 1031.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Now we'll move on to the main event. We have a business item this evening where we have the election of the mayor and vice mayor. The first step in the process is that I call for nominations for vice mayor for 2019. Is there a motion?
For Larry Chu, there'd be a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for Larry Chu
I was quick on that
to be
one,
the
Larry.
vice
Of
mayor. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Now we will call for nominations for mayor for 2019. May I please have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I would like to nominate Ann Morrison for mayor for the calendar year 2019.
I can't think of a better choice.
Second that.
Is there a second for that?
Larry,
motion?
second.
We have a motion and a second for Ann Morrison to be the mayor for 2019. May I please call the question? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Again, unanimous. Great teamwork.
Larkspur.
All right. The next up is the new mayor invites me to make a few remarks.
Dan Hemmer, please make a few remarks. It's very important.
Well, we focus on teamwork here. First thing, I want to thank our city manager and our staff for guiding us through another challenging year. They make it look easy for us, but it's a tough job. And I especially want to thank our city manager, Dan Schwartz. Few people understand that we have a form of government known as a strong city manager form of government. That means the city manager is responsible for the day-to-day operations. And the city council, as tough as our job is, we pretty much focus on policy questions brought to us by the city manager. So we're really grateful. Dan runs a tight ship, and we're so lucky to have him. We hope we can keep him a while.
We better.
All right. And I want to thank my council members. We try to focus on public safety and infrastructure improvements to the community here, and we try to keep it pretty clean. So as we turn to Mayor Ann, we'll try to focus on keeping our group together. I think we have the the best council in the county in terms of working together. We all like each other very much, and we all look to each other for help when we need support. And we very rarely have a split vote. So I think that's a good sign. All right. Let's switch chairs.
Switch chairs, okay. Here we go. Thank you, thank you. So, yeah, no worries, no worries. So I'm going to insist on one thing as a mayor, her first question and suggestion, please. I want you all to come in from out. Come on, please do. Come on. And there's room up on the wall. Hi, Liz. That would be great. Come on in. So, thank you, thank you. So it is great to see some familiar faces. I really want to say thank you for coming to Larkspur City Council. It's important for us to have people come and attend. You know, we have public comment, and we also, on our agenda, we always reach out to the public. It is so important for us to hear your voices and to hear your concerns and certain issues, because we listen, and what you say helps us make our decision of how we're going to go forward. So don't ever, ever hesitate, please, to go to a council meeting. I also want to thank my husband, Chris Morrison, and my children. We have Molly Morrison here. And then we have Shirley, Ben, and Luke. I want to say thank you for your support, patience, and love. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and bring it back to my talented council members. We have Catherine Way, Dan Hilmer, I'm sorry, Kevin Harv could not be with us tonight. He's away on business. We have Dan Hilmer, and now my Vice Mayor, Larry Chu. We do work as a team, and we respect each other. We listen to each other. We even sometimes disagree with one another. But one thing we have in common is our passion for Larkspur, and we really try our best to make the right decisions. And as Dan mentioned, our infamous city manager, Dan Schwartz, he's just wonderful, and his staff, the staff is incredible. So they bring us all the concerns and issues in Larkspur, and they give us our homework to study, and then we have our discussion, make decisions, and then they continue to give us updates. So as a team, we love passing ordinances, resolutions. We like to make things happen. So that's exciting. So, Mayor 2019. I am so honored to be the mayor, and I have a list of things I'm interested in discussing. But what's exciting about being the mayor is I get to make the agenda for 2019, which is really cool. So I just have a few things I want to discuss and share with you. Finances, we continue to keep healthy reserves, reduce our pension obligation. We also, as Dan mentioned earlier, our streets. We have 33 miles of streets. We're going to repave every single mile. We also have 13 miles of storm drains. It's old infrastructure, so we are going through and making sure they work properly. Bike and pedestrian pathways. We need to add more, and we need to keep it updated. So we're working on that. Communication. We are completely transparent. In fact, we get televised. In fact, can you turn the camera on our guests, our friends? You guys wave. You're all being televised. We also update our website. And on a quarterly basis, we send out a newsletter keeping you informed of what's happening in Larkspur. Bon Air Bridge. We closely work with the staff to minimize as much disruption as possible, and we are doing our best to get it done sooner than later. Smart Train. The Smart Train is coming to Larkspur by 2019. So we need to make sure that we have proper and adequate parking, and we need to make sure that people that get off, the bicyclists and the pedestrians, get across safely. So we're continue working on that. Rose Lane, we want to build a regional library community center. So we have a wonderful task force. It's brand new. It's made up of volunteers, and it's really exciting. So hopefully we can raise the funds to finally build that building in Rose Lane. Larkspur 2050 plan, We are dealing with traffic, constantly traffic, downtown parking, and we'd like to retrofit this building, which is quite old, and if there's an earthquake, it will definitely crumble, along with our fire station. So we're working on that. Shared services. We have Central Marin Police Authority, that's with Corte Madera here and San Osamo, and we just went and we have shared services with Corte Madera, and now it's called the Central Marin Fire Department or Association. So we're always reaching out to other cities, the 11 cities in Marin County, asking them how can we do shared services. We're working on age-friendly. We want to keep Larkspur as age-friendly as possible. So with Twin City, Corte Madera and Larkspur, we have Twin City Village, and it's, again, all by volunteers, and we're hoping we can keep senior citizens in their homes as long as possible. So that's exciting. I also want to thank our first responders. They have been extremely busy, and they've done an excellent job. So thank you so much. And I also want to thank the residents for volunteering their time. We have many boards and many commissions, foundations, Friends of Library, task force. It takes a team and a lot of volunteers to make a city run well. In fact, we are known as the gem of California. So I like to keep it that way. So anyway, and I also want to thank those who have traveled here. I have friends that have traveled here. We have Vince Askey that came afar, and my friend Becky Deffy. And I did introduce my brother Vince Partee, who happens to be here too. And all my dear friends, I'm so honored. Anyway, 2019, here we come. Exciting year. Thank you. And we have a gift for Dan Hilmer. You'll soon see what it is. Thank you. And I hope he uses it often. It's one of his passions.
Okay.
Nice job, Dan, by the way. You're a great mayor for 2018. Okay, but no, there's more to it. There's more to it. Each ball has his personal name, and it says Mayor of Larkspur, Dan Hill. He won't ever lose his ball. I hope you all can join us at Perry's. Oh.
Thank you.
Oh, you're going to do that? Oh, okay.
Thank you, Ann. I'll keep it in the fairway.
There's also another gift for the outgoing mayor up there somewhere.
Oh. Then I thought that was for you.
took it.
It was on my.
Well, it can be for you.
Don't shake that box though, please.
Oh, that's so funny. Dan.
Thank you all. You're too kind. It's a puppy.
Come on, Dan, just rip it.
We save this stuff. Oh, wow.
May not have been in Larkspur. No. There's also in the envelope as well. So now it's my privilege to ask the Larkspur Volunteer Fire Foundation, who for many years has come to present the gavel to the new mayor, to come forward and make their presentation for the mayor for 2019.
Am I going to stand up alone? Come on, gentlemen. I know, that's okay. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, council members. My name is Mike McDermott. I'm the secretary of the Larkspur Volunteer Firemen's Foundation. And it's been an honored tradition for over 100 years for the volunteers to present the gavel to the incoming mayor. As the Larkspur Volunteer Firemen's Foundation, we've been active in continuing to support the firefighters in fundraising activities like the toy drive this year. We've also been supporting some fundraising for the Paradise First Responders. And we're looking forward to the new year and working with you and the city council members and our new Central Marin Fire Association to figure out how we can help and continue to support the community. So There's a saying that comes from a friend of mine's Uncle Skinny, and it says, stand up to be seen, speak up to be heard, and sit down to be popular. Congratulations, Mayor.
I love. Thank you so much. Really special. I love small town politics. Okay.
So before you move to adjourn, the city attorney needs to give you a few comments.
Okay.
Madam Mayor, it's just a small technical issue. If I could ask you to adjourn this meeting to December 12th, which will make the December 12th meeting an adjourned regular meeting, which will allow the council to adopt the social host ordinance that was introduced tonight.
Yes. So I'm going to adjourn this meeting, and our next meeting is going to be held on Wednesday, December the 12th.
All right.
Is that okay?
Just as long as it's clear that we're adjourning this meeting to December 12th.
There you
So
go.
moved.
All right. Thank you.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Any opposed?
Sorry, Larry.
No? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Perfect. We're done. I hope all of you can now join us at Perry's. That would be wonderful. Oh, we have cupcakes and juice. I think they all want a cocktail, Dan. I know my familiar faces out there.